Cool. So now, see, this is what we did last time. So we looked at, hey, what was a responsibility? What are some accomplishments? Now, the functional resume that you guys might have been used to, meaning like when you're hunting for a job, it would have been because you held a particular skill set. So you would have done certain duties, and that's exactly why you must have been hired. So those are what we call as regular day-to-day responsibilities or duties that you perform either on a daily basis or on a frequent basis, on a periodic basis. And that one was typically a source for you as job description, right? And then, of course, when in a B school resume, you're more focused about what we call as accomplishment. Okay, so the questions that you answer is how did you do it? How well did you do it? What else can you add about the job that you did? And of course, like, how can you throw in some metrics out there? So that is where we ended. And then what did we see? I told you there are two ways in which you could do it. And I'm just going to make this a little bigger for some of you so that you can see this better. And there you go. So like what we saw was there are two ways in which you can add your responsibilities. Okay, you can look at the job description and you can modify it in order to do their actual roles. Okay, and I have noticed one thing. I have told very clearly, please do not plagiarize it. It comes up for plagiarism. We don't want you to directly use it. It will lead to disqualification of your application. Yeah. So here, as we saw, the job description is just like is a guide for you to remember the roles you handled, and then it's just a starting point. Okay, so it was just like you can take it from your job description and start working on it to suit your actual role that you have held. This was one way. The second way was you're going to answer like a short key responsibility area. Okay, example, if I come and ask you, hey, Kritika, what do you do in your company? I will say I had marketing, I had operations, I had new product development. Okay, those are key areas. And then I start expanding on everything I do for it. Okay, and then similarly, what we do, then we pick three responsibilities in each role in the order of priority. So this was something that we did, right? So basically, for every company, that you worked for, and every role that you worked for, you were going to list down some kind of responsibility. Okay, and then of course an accomplishment. So that was what the task. And then accomplishment is nothing but like the result of of doing a particular job. We saw that. And so here, as you can see, the thing that we the first approach was go to the job description, suited to reflect your own role that you're handling, and then of course write your responsibility. So this is what we were writing. So here we took an example. We looked at some of the job description from the web. We picked it, and I've also given you the source of where we picked. So you can just go and probably check it out later on at your time. And then of course you can look at all the responsibilities out there. So this is an example of a responsibility where you manage specialists and managers in driving the goals, blah blah blah, and all that. Okay. Now, how did we corresponding accomplishment? So this person is managing some specialists and managers, so meaning led somebody. And because of it, what happened? They are supposed to also like ensure compliance with blah 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 and all that. So they also ensured 100% compliance with so on, so on, so on. So we learned that in order to turn a responsibility into an accomplishment, you need to have some metrics associated with it and numbers and quantification. And that is exactly what we saw. And here's an example, as I told you, right? The other way of doing it was looking at, so this was another example, so here was an example we randomly picked where it was to leverage data to continuously improve product compliance at Amazon, right? Now, leveraging data, as you can see, the one that's highlighted in yellow, right, was like a means to an end. What is the end result you want? You want to ensure product compliance. Okay, so we saw that the always the focus when you're writing an accomplishment is about talking about the result and then followed by the costs. So example of this would be ensure product compliance at X% or X level. Apologies for the typo here. And by setting up a dashboard to monitor feedback data. So example here, X percentage can be like literally like 100%, right? Or you could even say that this is like level 5 compliance or whatever it is. Like, I'm just randomly making it up. I don't know the metrics, but you all know what are the metrics by which you're measured, right, for performance in your company. So this was an example of, something that we have done. Okay. What have we seen? This is an example of a responsibility. So let me just like um, write this out here so that it's clear for the people who are joining us now. So this is an example of a responsibility that you will see in any job role, right? And this is an example of an accomplishment. So wherever you see red in this document, it was reflecting the accomplishment. All right. So it was very simple for us to do. And as I said, this is the one way of doing it. See, why do we do this is because, especially if you're from a public sector unit or you're coming from like some other company and so on, you might only have your responsibilities like this. Okay, so this is what we did. So we wrote down all the responsibilities and then we wrote down corresponding accomplishments for each of them. All right, so that's what we did. Now, for example, I told you that, for example, if you don't have that, and then you're saying that, hey, I don't have any job description. I'm working in a startup. I don't know what I do. Then what I told you is like how I said, write down all the short key performance areas, key responsibility areas. You can call them anything that you want. Okay, so some of you might have even known it, known this very well because this might be on your performance appraisal forms and so on. So you're calling this as key responsibility areas. All right. So wherein you're hiring new talent, responsible for business goals, responsible for all operational metrics, and so on. So this one was a responsibility. All right. So then what I told you, in fact, like if you do not have a job description, all right, then write down all the key responsibility area and then start listing down the accomplishments like this. All right, so here there is an example of how the person would have done things. All right, so like this also you can get your accomplishments. All right, so everybody with me so far in terms of what it is, and then I asked you to fill out the rest of the accomplishments, responsibilities and accomplishment document, wherein use for every role you've ever held in life, you wrote the responsibilities and then the accomplishments in this manner. Okay, this is what we saw last week. Last in the last webinar. Okay, and then we told, you know what, why are we wasting our time and why are we doing this? Was because we wanted to showcase the career progression of somebody. Okay, here is an example of somebody, right? This person has, let's see, like how many companies, like company 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the role 5 will be the most current role. Okay, the in terms of it, and then like we are always going in the reverse chronological order, right? So role 5 is the most recent role for this person, and if I want to just help you all, and today again we will be sharing the work that we're doing today in the workshop. Right now we'll be sharing it with you. So this role was like the most recent role. So we were more, see, we're always most interested in what you're doing in life right now. You might have done tons of things in the past, but we always want to know like what you've done right now, right? So this is the most recent role. And here again, for what we've shown for every role and responsibility, you're basically going to add this. So now what this shows is nothing but the career progression. So this is what we said you wanted. And this is the thing that you need to have in your resume. That's it. So simple. Okay. So now how do we go from the responsibility and accomplishment document to the CV is, what you're going to do is very simple. You are going to pick up the key accomplishments in every role that you have held. Okay, only top 3. I don't want you to pick everything. I know, see, for example, if I want to know all your responsibilities and accomplishments, I have this document to refer to. So I know that. But when you're going and putting it in the CV, you're going to add only 3 points. And I'm going to show that to you, like how you're going to do it today. And of course, take you through the example and the case study. Okay, and we saw different career progression examples. See, for example, this guy had or girl had, for that matter, or man or woman or whoever it is, this person had about 4 companies and then 5 different roles. This person, on the other hand, worked in 3 companies only and had 3 different roles. Again, 5 different roles. So for both of them, you will be adding, like I will be able to see under each role, I'll be seeing the responsibility and then the accomplishments. And here, when you're writing notes, this will be like the primary responsibilities. It won't be like, everything you've done in the world. It will be like the key things that you're going to add. That's all. And then for some of you guys, you might be like, as I said, belonging in only one company forever. So if you're especially an entrepreneur or working in a PSU and all that, right? So for you guys, you might be having like this kind of thing happening for you, and wherein you might have all the different roles or something. In that case, you can even write functions. See, example, as I said, in a startup, you wear multiple things. So, like for example, at Career Labs, we do marketing. Like I handle strategy, I handle operations, I sometimes handle sales. So it really depends on multiple things that you handle. So you could always write it as a function. So example of function would be like operations and then marketing and then finance and then whatever it is, right? HR and so on and so forth. So this is something that is possible when someone has multiple, someone is like an entrepreneur or someone is working in a PhD, for example. Here you could also write like, I worked in bank branch number 1, right? I worked as a bank manager for, let's say, like, you could have worked as a branch manager, okay, for, let's say, Ahmedabad. Okay, not, it is such a big city. So let's say this, I don't know, some city A or something like that. And then you might have worked as a branch manager for city B. Okay, and then you might have worked as a branch manager for city number C, right? So these are examples of like either you're talking about the role or you're talking about the functions. So these are examples of that. All right, so I hope you're with me so far. And now now that if you have this document, it's great. If you do not have this document, it's still great, because we're still going to see things which are going to be useful for us in the discussion today. All right, and now somebody had asked last time, hey, what if I had a full-time experience and I have a part-time experience? How do I write it? So I had shown you how to write that. And someone had asked like, hey, like what if I want to include an internship? I told you already that you might want to include only international internships or something like that, or something that you feel is significantly adding for your profile. Otherwise, it's not really needed. So let me just show you the entire table in one shot so that you are able to see this better. Okay, so this is the table. Okay, let me just make it a little bit. Yeah, so this is the table of the it's yeah, it becomes a little teeny tiny, but you get the drift, right? This is like an example of the career progression that are possible for different people. Okay, so this is what we call as the career progression guide for you, and it's all ready now. So from this, very good.